many lost their lives, but yet the coronavirus had a unprecedented impact on the planet, even more so than some of the world wars that have taken place. World wars on the planet have been devastating, of course, in the past century. But the coronavirus had more of an impact because the planet was more connected than it ever was, because it went global. It affected every part of the globe, and not just some countries, but it affected every part from top to bottom, every race, every ethnicity, every walk of life, the rich, the poor, everyone else. But feeling to the overall the benefits of coronavirus, that no, truly there were many benefits of coronavirus. It could have been much worse. It could have been a world war, that massive scale. COVID was supposed to shake things up in the biology, as the humans really start going into the new species. And it was also, to a very large degree, meant to shake things up in the financial systems on the planet, the economy, causing a rethink of so many things. You're seeing the results of it from people saying they simply don't want to work anymore, and that is their right. People saying, I don't want to be a mid-level manager all my life, get 2 weeks of vacation, and then retire and die. There's a whole shift of consciousness taking place right now as it relates to work, jobs, careers. More people than ever going out on their own. It's not that they just want to sit home and be lazy bums. They're saying there's something more I want to do. I don't know what it is, but something more I want to do on the planet. But basically, it was people saying, maybe we should do it a little bit different. Maybe we should get out of the old patterns. Maybe there is a better way. And then it brought up the big question mark, what is the better way? How do I go about getting out of my old, everyday, mundane kind of life? How do I go about really manifesting what I truly want to do? And even though this question was asked by billions of people around the planet, many just kind of, subsequently slipped back into their old patterns, their old way of doing things. But not to forget that moment they thought there's got to be a different way to do it. And they're just waiting for something to come along any day now, waiting for something to come along to get them into something different in their lives. And there were many who made a commitment to themselves, made a choice and said, I've got to do something different. We can't go back. I can't go back to the pre-COVID way of doing things. I was definitely in a rut. I was definitely just repeating the same cycles day after day, year after year, in anticipation of what? Eventually getting sick and dying. I've got to do something different. There's a huge pressure that built up as a result of all this. People saying, I've got to do something different with my life. Yes, it's caused a lot of deaths. But in a way, those are beings that were ready to leave. And I'm not trying to minimize the sadness and the suffering that occurs when somebody dies because of something like COVID. But generally, these were people that weren't going to stay a long time anyway. And they're going to find another way to leave. And for many of them, it was simply a restart, a reboot, saying, I got very much on the wrong path in this life, or I just wasn't doing anything in this life. I'm going to do a reboot and come in. You'll most likely see a kind of a mini population boom in about 5 to 7 years based on the ones who left because of COVID now getting a little rejuvenation time on the other side, then coming back in. The fascinating thing with it, and I think people are missing the point, the amount of research, funding, and time and energy that's gone into this is explosive in understanding the human genome and understanding the viruses and how they work and how the immune system works. what's been done in the last 2 years would normally have taken about 13 and a half to 14 years at an accelerated pace. It's been done in a compressed time. They don't have it 100% right, but they're on the right track. And what's being done now in laboratories, particularly with the, I think you'd call it the mRNA type of vaccinations, and the understanding of the RNA and the DNA, the breakthroughs are huge in what's going to be done. There'll be a point, and I'm not going to predict, but a point in the future, in many of your lifetimes.
A probable potential.
A probable maybe potential.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, if you get a cold, instantly there'll be a type of vaccination or cough syrup or whatever that you take.
Or antiviral they can whip up right away.
Exactly.
Custom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Normally the process would take a couple of years to go through all the testing and the research, but now it becomes almost digital and very, very local. They'll be able to instantly find the what I'm going to call motivator, the biological motivator that allows the immune system to fight back right away, so that once where a flu might have spread very rapidly in just a short period of time, they can isolate it and suppress it in a matter of days. If there's anything I would like our wonderful listeners, viewers to come out with from this is the breakthroughs in medicine as a result of this, and I'm sure you have some idea of that, are phenomenal.
Well, they're just starting. An HIV vaccine has been quite elusive because of the mutations.
Right.
But this mRNA technology might change that because it can
Absolutely.
change rapidly. So there's a lot of things on the horizon.
Yeah. Oh, and things that they're going to find out even for the heart, and ways to not only repair the heart, but to predict heart issues. You can say almost across the board, with the exception of a few things like Alzheimer's, ADD, and what I call the A's. That still has a way to go. But the typical, anything to do with the immune system and the DNA, the RNA, that's the breakthroughs phenomenal. COVID is one of the, or I prefer coronavirus, is one of the most interesting phenomena in recent human history. It was designed to come in right now at this time to create some changes on the planet. Number one, financial changes, but ultimately some changes to some kind of a stimulus to medical technology and other types of technical breakthroughs. It looked like, as we watched this COVID ship come to Earth, it looked like it was going to be here, that it would hit hard for a relatively short period of time, let's say in the time frame of 9 months to a year. It was going to hit very hard and then leave very quickly. What happened with the coronavirus, with the planet, in a way you could say, was so ready for a change that it went deeper and lasted longer than anyone would have anticipated. It's kind of an analogy. Let's say you decide that you're going to, one day you don't decide, you have to clean your house. It hasn't been cleaned in a while. Everything's dirty and messy, and there's dirty laundry on the floor, and there's dishes in the sink, and you just know it's got to be cleaned. So you say, okay, today, Saturday, I'm going to go in. I'm going to spend the morning just picking up. Take about 3 or 4 hours. The more you clean, the more you find that needs to be cleaned. You kind of overlooked it in the past. And now you spent the entire day and part of the night into it. And what do? You get up the next morning and you keep cleaning deeper than ever before. That's what the coronavirus ended up doing. It turned out to be what was going to be kind of a good cleaning, but it went very, very, very deep because humanity was ready for it. They allowed it. Wasn't inflicted on humanity. Humanity said, we're going to get in and start cleaning the house now, and just went deeper and deeper. So consciousness literally then kind of chose to, let's go deeper. Let's see what else is in there. We've gone this far. Let's go further. Let's create a variant or variants now that come along and make it last longer and go deeper. So the cleansing, ultimately the cleansing is going to go far deeper. And I'll be the first to admit that I assumed that it was going to come in fast and leave quickly. But something funny happened along the way. Well, not that funny, but something happened along the way. As COVID came in, now it's been 2 years, I believe,
Yep.
since COVID first appeared. And as it began to get into the population, get into the biology, humans did a funny kind of a turn, a funny twist on things. Instead of taking that one great big experience into COVID, they said, humanity, mass consciousness in general, said, let's do a complete house cleaning. We're not just going to bring it in for some changes in society, some changes in the economy. Let's fully bring it in. In other words, mass consciousness gave permission for it to do its variants. And now I believe what you call the Delta variant, and you have another one after that. Which
Omicron.
one? Omicron variant. And now it's doing all the variants, and there'll be other variants that come about because COVID is here doing a complete house cleaning based on permission from humanity. And possibly even because there were enough beings on the planet shining their light to say, let's just do it. So the offshoot of COVID, of coronavirus, I do prefer that term, is it's changing the planet right now. It's accelerating the changes. It's causing a lot of rethinking on the planet, and it'll be around for a while, although I'm not making any prediction. Don't ask me how long it's going to be around.
Okay.
I'm not going to make any predictions on that. Now we get to something like vaccination. They're saying that, well, I'm a sovereign being, and I don't need a vaccination because I can handle it. Yeah, theoretically. Are they really there yet? Do they have it as a nice theory and a nice cliche? I'm sovereign, therefore I don't need a vaccination. I'll never catch the COVID. A lot of them are getting close, but they're not quite there.
Okay.
And then when they get COVID and they get really sick, they'll realize that they still have a little bit more to become that Merlin that we talked about earlier. Then there's another group that absolutely, I feel that they're there. They are taking ownership of their body. Their body is to the point where it can produce the immune system very, very rapidly. And maybe with a little bit of assistance, not necessarily a vaccination, but I believe there's some other things you're aware of that.
Well, you can get sick, but a mild version.
So there are some that truly can do that at this point. And ultimately, I would say to all shaumbra, except the conspiracy rabbits, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. And there's no right or wrong. The minute you start making it right or wrong, you're going to set yourself up for the duality of potentially getting COVID and maybe even dying from it. You can take anything, whether it's a vaccination, whether it's a lot of sugar or anything, and once you realize it's just your energy and it's not an outside sugar or an outside vaccination, then you bring it into your system and it's yours. It never was an outside thing. If you feel more comfortable and safer getting a vaccination, understanding you're choosing it, it's ultimately your energy, you just feel more comfortable with it. It's like a reassurance from self to body.
Okay.
That you're there.
Okay.
Is this an outside force that you're interjecting and poisoning into your body, but you're being forced to do it because your employer insists on it and you don't really want to have that job anyway? That's a bad energy scenario. If
That
you're
makes
saying,
sense.
okay, this is ultimately really me, I'm doing it just for my own self-assurance, and just because, that's fine. If, it's like anything right now, and there's some asterisks with this, but if you go get a filling in your tooth, is that a bad outside force? Well, not really right now. Ultimately, yeah, you'll be able to really regrow your teeth, but we're a bit away from that right now. Okay. And sometimes it's a little quicker to go to the dentist. Is it bad to take aspirin, for instance? What's up to you? Are you taking it because you don't feel that you're truly a master of your own body, or you're not going to let your own body speak, or you're taking it because, yeah, just a little supplement here. It's really up to the individual. There's no set rule on it. Calder's asking me right now, what would I recommend to shaumbra? Should I say take it or don't take it? And I'll say it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. And I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to get or not get COVID. It's more, how do you take it, not if you take it.
Are you accepting it? Are you doing without fear?
Exactly.
And doing it for as you said,
Exactly.
reassurance,
Yeah.
and not because of fear. Yeah.
For shaumbra, you ask, well, should I get vaccinated or not? It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. It's your personal choice. And if you get vaccinated, there's no little computer chips that are being put into your body that are going to have you monitored by the government. And what would they find out anyway? That you're shaumbra. So it doesn't really matter. And I was a bit sad to see that COVID would cause divisiveness amongst shaumbra.
Yeah.
With them pointing fingers at each other. I would have thought shaumbra had the wisdom now to say, it's just energy serving humanity, and it doesn't matter if I become vaccinated or not. And if you feel better, you feel more protected because you've been vaccinated, fine. It's just energy serving you. So I was a bit sad to see that, and some shaumbra left because they wanted Crimson Circle to take an official stand one way or the other on COVID. And it's right now, stand behind the short wall and choose what you want for yourself, but stop pointing fingers at other people. Look at the dynamics behind it. Get away from all the conspiracies and even the scientific and medical facts. So you choose to get this vaccination, which, by the way, is, from what I see in the energies, is generally very, very safe. Generally, it's a different experience for your body having the mRNA or any RNA manipulated, and manipulation not being a bad word, but saying we're going to start working on the very deep energetic levels. It's already happening in your DNA, but it's happening as a result of choices you've made to get off of the ancestral karma. It's already happening. And it's also part of the blossoming of really the new human species on the planet. If you go to that, I'm going to call it even the 50,000 foot view of the thing, the virus has served many, many, many purposes on the planet. Now the vaccination serves purposes that one couldn't even begin to imagine. For instance, it's the seeding or the beginning of the true new human species on the planet. Many think that the new human species is simply going to be robotic parts or implants. That wasn't it at all. This was the seeding of the new human species. Working with elements in the biology like RNA, and there are more iterations to come. And I'm not talking about malicious manipulation. I'm not talking about trying to mess with the human body like what happened in Atlantis. That will never happen again. That cannot happen again. You've created a barrier. All of you have created a barrier to where that's not going to happen again. So now we have the beginning of the new human species brought about by the coronavirus and now initiated or literally launched into evolution by the vaccinations. And there'll be more and more work done in the levels of the RNA, the DNA, the genes, all the neurons and everything else. And yes, it's a little bit of a slippery slope because who's to say that the human greed and human condition won't get involved in that and basically turn it into something not so good. And now I'll come full circle, the 360 that you mentioned. That's exactly, again, why all of you are here. And it doesn't matter whether you get the vaccine or not. That's your personal choice. truly does not matter. I wouldn't encourage any of you to get it or not to get it. If you get it, it's an energetic input that ultimately, no, it's not going to hurt you. If you don't get it, it's not like you're, um, how do you say it, leaking out or not being there to help humanity. It doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening with the human biology and the fast speed at which it's going right now. The planet is divided. It's very polarized, which tends to happen before things come back together. It gets more polarized before we can go to the next real level. And you get to a point on the planet where about 50% of the entire global population is vaccinated. And it ends up at 50% because, again, you have these duality forces at work. And that actually can help right now bring things to the next level before things truly come together.